Chapter 602, Speculations of the Foreigners in Days City. The group of foreigners in Tianhai City. After Zhang Yi finished communicating with Deng Shintong, there was no reason for him to continue staying in Blizzard City. He immediately called Xiao Honglian, Xing Tian, and Qin Jingwan over. The three of them came to Zhang Yi's room, where Zhang Yi's team was. Zhang Yi pointed to the sofa and said, "You can sit down. There's something I should tell you now." The three were puzzled, and all sat obediently opposite Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi stared at them, his expression very serious, and said, "I'm going back to Tianhai City soon, tonight. If you don't have anything important to do, then come back with me." The three were a little surprised when they heard Zhang Yi say this. Xiao Honglian glanced outside at the sky and asked puzzledly, "Is it that urgent?" "It's dark, can't we wait until tomorrow to go back?" Qin Jingwan is now Zhang Yi's younger brother. After some speculation, he asked, "Boss, is it because of those foreigners in Days City?" Everyone was very surprised by Qin Jingwan's title. Zhang Yi had not yet had time to tell anyone that he had become the leader of the Chaoyu base. Seeing the strange looks on everyone's faces, Zhang Yi casually said, "Oh, I'll tell you. Now the Chaoyu base is under my control, and Qin Jingwan is also under me. It's good that everyone knows." Zhang Yi spoke lightly, but this matter was no different than a major earthquake for Xiao Honglian and Xing Tian. Qin Jingwan took the initiative to surrender to Zhang Yi, so what are they going to do in the future? Although in the past they were willing to submit to Zhang Yi, people are selfish, and Xing Tian and Xiao Honglian more or less wanted to be the leaders of their own bases. They knew the difference between being someone's lackey and being the boss. Qin Jingwan's actions made them consider the situation after that as well. Now there are other organizations of aliens from other cities lurking outside, and they might invade Tianhai City one day. In that case, the Chaoyu base has become Zhang Yi's power, and it will definitely be able to get Zhang Yi's protection. But it's hard to say about them. The two of them were a little hesitant in their hearts, considering whether they should learn from Qin Jingwan and do the same. For the time being, they didn't make up their minds, and they planned to go back and think about it clearly. Zhang Yi didn't care about what they were thinking inside, and continued, "I know you are very angry about what those people from Ozawa City did. As I said, the most important thing now is the regional gathering, and everything else should be put on hold. Now that the regional gathering is over, we can free up our hands and focus on dealing with those guys. From the current situation, it seems that they have already determined that Tianhai City is weak, and an invasion of Tianhai City is a foregone conclusion. And it is very likely that they will take advantage of the fact that Jiangnan region's energy is focused on Linhai City. Let's hurry back and get ready. We have the advantage of fighting on our home soil." Zhang Yi explained simply and quickly. He had already told his own team about this, but this was the first time he had told the leaders of the three forces. Qin Jingwan's eyes immediately lit up, and he said joyfully, "Boss, you are really brilliant. You plan carefully before making a decision, making them mistakenly believe that Tianhai City is very weak and then underestimate the enemy. By then, we will spread our net wide and wait for them to fall into the trap, and then annihilate them in one fell swoop." Qin Jingwan's eyes grew brighter and brighter. At that time, everyone will know the strength of Tianhai City and will never dare to covet it again. That's really high. Qin Jingwan is worthy of being the second in command all this time, and he is a first-class flatterer. Zhang Yi couldn't help but laugh. This kid, now that he is no longer the leader of the Chaozhou base, his heart's burden has become lighter, and he has begun to let loose again. Some people are just not cut out to be leaders, and Qin Jingwan is probably one of them. Xiao Honglian and Xing Tian also looked pleased when they heard this. They had been humiliated a lot recently. When they met people from other cities in Ozawa City, they were full of mockery, and even the people from other cities looked down on them. Because of Zhang Yi's orders, the two of them did not dare to get into conflicts with those people and chose to silently tolerate them. Now Zhang Yi tells them to fight back. Of course they are happy to get their revenge. Xiao Hong leaned forward, excitedly asking, "Do you have a plan? How do you want us to cooperate?" Zhang Yi said indifferently, "Respond to change with constancy." He spread his hands. We don't know what actions the other side will take yet. But we are fighting on our home turf, and we have the advantage of time, place, and people on our side. After everyone goes home, get ready for defense, organize your weapons. Then be on high alert, don't let your guard down for a second. As for what to do next, we'll have to see what they do. Zhang Yi had a clear understanding of himself. He was not some kind of genius strategist who could use tricks to manipulate the other side. So he had to make solid preparations and first put himself in an invincible position. At the very least, if a fight really broke out, with his current strength, there were not many rivals in the entire Jiangnan region that could be considered his equal. Everyone nodded. Under the premise of lacking intelligence about the alien forces in Days City, this approach was the most prudent. Zhang Yi immediately told everyone to go back and prepare to pack their things, and then take the special train back to Tianhai City. Zhu Jing had already said this, that they could leave Blizzard City at any time. However, if they wanted to come back again, they would have to get Blizzard City's permission. Everyone knew that the sooner they returned, the sooner they could prepare for battle. After all, no one knew when the foreigners in Days City would make their move. So everyone went back one after the other, summoned their subordinates, and left the apartment in groups. They were not a small number, and their movement could not be hidden from the foreigners in Days City. Some people were specifically tasked with keeping an eye on them, and once they noticed them leaving, they immediately reported it to the ears of several leaders. After receiving the news, Sun Jianming's eyes flashed, and then he sneered. Fleeing overnight, they are worried that we will take action against them. What cowards! His disdain for the Tianhai City alien organization grew even stronger. It seems that it is time to take action. Tianhai City is rich in resources, and it should not be occupied by these weak forces. That would be a complete waste. After the incident of beating Chen Jingwan up, Sun Jianming had stolen the limelight and was now in full swing. Almost everyone could tell that he would strike at Tianhai City, or at least attack the convoy at Chaoyu Base. However, he was not as arrogant as he appeared to be. He was meticulous and careful. Although Tianhai City is weak, if I go alone, even if I defeat them, it will be a miserable victory. I need to get other forces to cooperate with me. With this in mind, Sun Jianming immediately took out his phone and contacted Chen Liangyu and Gu Hongdai, inviting them to come over for tea. Chapter 603, Unification of Tianhai. When Chen Liangyu and Gu Hongdai received the message from Sun Jianming, they actually understood what Sun Jianming was thinking. After Chen Jingwan revealed the current strength of Tianhai City, not only does Days City, but also many other cities with Shi organizations have an unspoken desire to covet Tianhai City. Everyone wants to find an opportunity to swallow this piece of fat meat. And in Days City, which is located northwest of Tianhai City, they can take advantage of the situation and seize the opportunity to take over Tianhai City first. But even if Tianhai City is destroyed, the power of the various forces cannot be underestimated. To be on the safe side, it would be wise to join forces and divide it up. Chen Liangyu and Gu Hongdai went to Sun Jianming's room. The men were old acquaintances, and Sun Jianming didn't bother with formalities. Gentlemen, the lackeys of Tianhai City took advantage of the night to escape. What do you think of this piece of fat meat? Gu Hongdai gave a coquettish laugh, but a cunning gleam flashed in her eyes. We all want to eat this piece of fat meat, so let's stop hiding it. Sun Jianming, just say what you're thinking. She glanced at Chen Liangyu next to her and said, I guess the three of us are thinking the same thing. Chen Liangyu nodded with a smile. Sun Jianming laughed heartily, very well, I'll be direct. Tianhai City is obviously a piece of fat meat. We need to strike while the iron is hot, or someone else will get there first. It's hard for our family to eat this piece of fat meat, so it's better for the three families to join forces. Sun Jianming sat on the sofa with his arms folded, resting one hand on his knee. But although the power of these families is weak, they have some outstanding people. For example, Xiao Honglian from Yanqing Base, Xing Tian from Qingpu Base, and Zhang Yi, all of whom are quite strong. Fighting to the death will do us no good. It's also easy for others to take advantage of the situation. So I suggest that our three families jointly pressure them. Let them hand over most of the resources in Tianhai City. And we will leave them a way out. After all, Tianhai City is so big, leaving them a little of its resources will be enough for them to survive. We will then seize most of the land and supplies without a fight. Wouldn't that be wonderful? After hearing this, Gu Hongdia's eyes flashed with approval. She nodded. This proposal is indeed good. We don't want to start a war lightly if it's not necessary. If they know what's good for them, they'd better behave. If they're stubborn, then we'll just wipe them out. As the three of them talked, they already regarded Tianhai City as their prey. No wonder. Judging from the number of people who came from Tianhai City this time, the power of Tianhai City was indeed too weak. Other forces coming to Blizzard City would at least have to be aliens. And the aliens in Tianhai City had already died off in the war against Yuankanji. They even needed to bring some ordinary people to make up the numbers. Strictly speaking, the total number of aliens in the entire Tianhai City today may be only slightly higher than the number of aliens in Sun Jianming's hands alone. Chen Liangyu said, then let's act quickly before someone else comes and snatches this piece of fat meat. After the three factions had finished talking, they began to take out maps of Tianhai City and divide up the territory. An agreement was finally reached, and they began drafting letters to be sent to the leaders of the major powers in Tianhai City. Zhang Yi and the others hurriedly left Blizzard City and returned to Tianhai City on the Jiangnan special train. After walking out of Xiaomaishan Metro Station, Zhang Yi instructed everyone to immediately return to their respective territories and begin preparations for the defense work. Xiao Honglian felt a little relieved. However, when she looked over to Zhang Yi's side, she saw Chen Jingwan following Zhang Yi at a distance, giving off the impression that he was already Zhang Yi's loyal subordinate. She frowned slightly, feeling a little uncomfortable. She had the feeling that the closeness of their relationship had already been established, and according to Zhang Yi's personality, if there was a war, they would most likely be the ones sacrificed. She walked up to Zhang Yi and asked with a tilted head, if the foreigners from Ozawa City come over here and kill us, you will come and save us, right? Of course, Zhang Yi said with a smile. Xiao Honglian. She didn't say anything because Zhang Yi's answer was so quick that it seemed unreal. Xiao Honglian had been dealing with Zhang Yi for so long that she of course knew what kind of person he was. What he cares about most is always the interests of himself and the people around him. Thinking about this, Xiao Honglian made a decision in her heart. She quietly clenched her fists, took a deep breath, and then looked Zhang Yi in the eye in front of everyone. Zhang Yi, please take over the Yanqing base as well. As soon as these words came out, the scene fell silent. The others looked at Xiao Honglian and then at Zhang Yi. Although this matter took everyone by surprise, it was reasonable. The Yanqing base could no longer withstand a conflict at the level of armed forces. Without Zhang Yi's protection, unless they kept hiding in the underground shelters, they would no longer be able to face the crisis. But in that case, they would have to give up everything they had on the surface. Chen Jingwan raised the corners of his mouth and praised, what a wise choice. He was a little smug. Although everyone was taking refuge with Zhang Yi, there was also an emphasis on first come, first served. He was the first to take refuge with Zhang Yi, so his status was definitely higher. It's just that, his strength was indeed inferior to Xiao Honglian's. This scene made Xing Tian, who was not far away and was about to leave, dumbfounded. He was dumbfounded. Good guy, Tianhai City is dominated by just a few of our clans, and now you're all hanging out with Zhang Yi, what am I supposed to do? After hesitating for a moment, he gritted his teeth and ran up to Zhang Yi. Lao Zhang, from now on, our Qingpu base will also follow you. Zhang Yi's expression was very calm. He was actually not particularly interested in the defections of these factions, because he did not lack any resources. However, in order to maintain a stable living environment for himself and the team members, there could be no unrest in Tianhai City. The presence of these forces is one of the important factors in maintaining harmony in Tianhai City. Zhang Yi looked at Xiao Honglian and Xing Tian in front of him and calmly asked, "Do you understand what you need to pay for this? If you become my subordinates, then you will listen to me no matter what in the future." A wicked smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. "I might even let you die." Xiao Honglian and Xing Tian were shocked. Of course they would never let them die. But they immediately realized that Zhang Yi was just reminding them that if they were to submit to him, they must obey him unconditionally. To be fair, no one wanted this, but the situation was now beyond their control. Tianhai City had such attractive resources that it would definitely attract the competition of other city forces. Even though Xing Tian and Xiao Honglian were both Delta-class aliens, without the support of a force, they could do nothing. Lone wolves can hardly survive in the end times. Not everyone is Zhang Yi. Since they will have to side with a faction after all, they might as well choose one they know well. At least by siding with Zhang Yi, they can remain in Tianhai City and enjoy a certain amount of power.